Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Dude.
Just the injured guys, who do you expect to be available to you tomorrow?
I'll tell you, I don't expect Lozon or Carlo. Tenorti, Frederick, and Senishin will all go out for morning skate. They felt good today, Rask included, and they will get through morning skate and we'll make a decision. It'll be basically their call after they discuss it with the medical. But all of those guys technically, are not held back, through like a medical diagnosis. It's are they ready? Do they feel good? And it could be tomorrow, it could be Saturday, but they're all very close and could all play tomorrow.
And Lozon and Carlo, any chance for the weekend? When do you expect them to be ready?
Until Carlo participates in a full team jersey, we're just speculating, right? He has to go through contact. That's to be the next phase of his recovery. And when that is, I don't know. Could the medical team do it tomorrow, Friday? That's the part I usually hear later through the player, and the medical team will communicate and then say, okay, he's ready. Lozon, that's a good question because he was full contact. So for him, it might be, how is his strength in his battles? He's puck handling is going to take a little bit because he missed some time, wasn't able to hold a stick, but is he able to at least battle to an acceptable level? That'll probably be the determining factor for him. So again, until he gets through another practice or two, it's probably speculating, but I would guess simply because he's going through the contact part now that he's closer than Brandon.
And just 5 days off, what did you notice about their fitness, their timing, and all that?
I thought it was pretty good. The ice was a little heavy. I think it's warmer outside, so it's tougher. So there was a few bouncing pucks, but they had good energy, good enthusiasm. I think the guys are happy to be back playing. I think they're all happy that, other than Jake, obviously, that they're out of the, I don't want to say, I guess, out of the woods, but you know what I mean? They're able to get back to work, and everyone else is tested negative and feeling good. So, like I said, I think the guys are looking forward to getting back on the ice.
Thank you.
Go, Sophia.
I had a similar question to Steve Conroy, but I guess, Bruce, I just wanted to ask, with these last days off, probably you've never been in a situation where you've had time off and then not had a week or a couple of days of training camp to start. So what was your approach to practice in terms of what balance you wanted to make sure you got them going, but not too tired for tomorrow's game?
Well, we actually went through this, obviously not COVID, Sophia, but through, I think it was my first year, we had that 5-day break and we played San Jose, and we had to fly out there. We had a practice on the day before, and that was it. It was an afternoon game, I think, or late afternoon game the next day. So it was after about this amount of time, 5-6 days. So some of the guys have been through it. I think you get different results. Our plan was to practice today, and then I discussed it with the leadership group. Do you want to go out tomorrow morning, or do you want to do a little bit more tonight, or do you want to kind of chop it up? And they wanted to go out in the morning, get a quick feel. So like special teams, power play stuff we worked on, typically work on game day, we'll do tomorrow, get on, get off. So, they had a say in it. Like I said, I thought they looked good, energized. It's just with that amount of time off, it's always difficult, the recovery part in games. So like I said, tomorrow we've got to manage our shifts well. Hopefully don't get stuck in those bad spots in your own end for extended period of time, killing a penalty where you're out there the whole 2 minutes, stuff like that can really empty the tank in a hurry, make it tough to recover. So that's what we're looking at. And then, you're playing 3 and 4 days. So you want to make sure that you do recover well to be able to practice efficiently Friday and then get back out there Saturday, Sunday. So that's kind of the game plan, and see how it plays out.
Go next to Fluto.
Bruce, it looked like you were reviewing some stuff with Kim there at the end of practice up there at the point. What was that?
That was discussing where the defenseman should play in ozone blue line positioning. Typically when a puck goes low to high, you want to be as far away from the checker, the defending winger, as you can, using the whole blue line, I guess. You're also farther away from the net, so the puck has to travel a longer distance. So guys do have opportunity to recover back to the front of the net. So that was a bit of the discussion. And we talk about shrinking the zone as defensemen, and that's getting too low, so that, you know, you creep into the slot area and all of a sudden the puck comes around the boards from, you know, teams that typically flood by putting 3, 4, 5 guys on the same side of the ice below the goal line. That's sometimes their only outlet, is to rim it around high. So we want to find the right balance there, but allow the guys a little bit of room so that if they need to, you know, use lateral movement to create a shooting lane, that they're not right at the blue line, so that they're limiting themselves, so they can pull the puck back first, then laterally. So it's a little bit of a technique thing, I guess, Fluto, to create a shooting lane. And we talked about that because he was trying to incorporate that into their game, and we've worked on that. Basically, his question was, you know, how low do you know, is appropriate amount of space before you are shrinking the zone? So, which he was nowhere near. I mean, we're talking about D that drift into the slot, looking for that better opportunity that which teams cover a lot and aren't usually there, as opposed to having some patience waiting out high and then creating your offense from there.
So is that just an example, Bruce? You've talked a lot about trying to express more offense out of this group. Just one of those avenues that you're trying to really hammer home?
Yeah. So, for example, and I'm not being disrespectful to our D group, let's use Johnny Boychuk as an example from the point, and Z say, you know, that when the puck got on their stick, they could really bring it. They didn't have to move much. You know, it was basically stop it, you know, hammer it, and they had the ability to shoot it 100 miles an hour. So, it made it tough on the opposing players because they know each other in the league to put themselves in front of it, put yourselves in harm's way. There's a lot of guys that probably conveniently thought they were in the lane but weren't, so to speak. And I'm not sure we have a lot of those guys back there that can do that. So they have to find their shooting lane by using their feet a little more, hockey IQ, so that they can, you know, then get their shot off. Whether it's for a tip or, you know, a shot on goal or whatever play, you know, sort of presents itself. So that was a discussion on how we can open up ice for them, absent of that big bomb that a lot of guys would just crank it right away. So, you know, that was the other part of the conversation.
Go next to Joe Haggerty.
Hey, Butchie, just curious your thoughts on that Tim Peel situation that played out today, and just what a kind of approach you look for on a night-to-night basis from the on-ice officials as far as just running the game.
Consistency, I think, is always something we ask for, Hags. You know, if you're going to call a ticky-tack one early, then you're probably going to have to continue that, you know, which I'm not a big fan of. I think there's enough penalties out there, hard penalties that prevent scoring chances that, you know, that don't warrant penalties. Like, I'll use the example. I thought that the Washington game, when they didn't call Wilson, which to me was a penalty, but earlier in the game, I don't know if you remember this, you might have to go back, but I think it was McAvoy got tangled up with Eller on a one-on-one. It was a shot. They both kind of came into each other. Charlie kind of prevented him from getting the rebound. I thought a good defensive play, and they called a penalty. To me, that's like, okay, it's going to be one of those games that, you know, you run, you know, very, very borderline, yet that standard didn't continue. So to me, that's what gets frustrating as a coach. As for the Tim Peel, I think that was more of it sounded like, and I only know what I saw on, you know, the highlights, the clip of almost like a personal thing for some reason. So you probably want to get the whole story. It's not acceptable anyway, but you know, what motivated him to sort of to take that approach. And, you know, I guess in due time, he may or may not, you know, like I said, have his say, but you don't want that. Obviously, I've had enough run-ins with officials where we disagree and sometimes bark each other at the bench. Typically, a ref will come over, official after a while, say, hey, you've said your piece, enough, you know. And sometimes, I know it myself, sometimes our staff will even say, okay, Butch, you know, time to calm down now. And, you know, and sometimes it's done on purpose to protect your players, to motivate your players, to get the attention of whoever. So I think there's different reasons for it. But this sounds like, you know, something that, you know, should not have obviously happened. The NHL dealt with it. I think Tim was retiring anyway this year. I've always enjoyed my conversations with him, just between whistles and such, and off ice, if you bump into them. So it's unfortunate, but they did what they had to do and took the appropriate action. Obviously, you know, that's just something an official shouldn't do.
Do you feel like there's ever a makeup call aspect to things, to the way games are called out there?
I think there are times there is. I mean, I'll say it. I think there's times an official realizes maybe, boy, that wasn't the best call. I don't I don't know if it's, I call it makeup. To me, it's called, the ticky-tacky, I'll call it, or marginal. It's like, oh, I got one on that team, I better get one for the other team. I think it happens. I think it's human nature. And then hopefully it's done after that, hey, one marginal one each way, let's get back to getting the thing in balance. I've seen games where I thought there were some marginal calls where I think an official ends up chasing it. That's what happens a little bit. Well, I got one here and maybe it was off, and I looked at it between periods, and all of a sudden the game starts to get away from you a little bit. I think, listen, they have off nights just like players and coaches do. And even the media every once in a while might have an off night. That's a little joke for you guys out there. Just checking to see if anybody's still listening, that's all. So I think that's what I've seen that happen as well. Now I've been at it for a while, so I think it's, like I said, human nature. Sometimes it happens. I think most officials would probably realize after, you know what, just let it go. It's like a player that has a bad first period maybe and goes out and wants to fix it all in the second period and just digs himself a deeper hole. I think it's, it happens in all sports and probably with all officials from time to time. Just you hope it doesn't happen too often.
Thank you, Butchie.
We'll go next to Kevin Dupont.
Travis, with that transition for off nights from the media, thank you. What's your plan for the next, if you get them in here, 3 in the next 4 plans for goaltending?
Yeah, Tuukka felt good today. So obviously depending on how he wakes up tomorrow, feels good, takes the morning skate. So let's get through that first. If he's good to go, he'll go in, Kevin. If not, it's Yarrow. And then we'll split on the weekend. So that's how we're looking at it right now. So again, depending on Tuukka, he could have 2 out of 3, or it could be Yarrow if he gets the nod tomorrow. Because I don't think we need to play a goaltender back-to-back. Right now, it's not necessary. We saw that with Vladar when he came in. We didn't want to do it with Yarrow at the time, even with Tuukka out. So we're going to try to stick to that philosophy. So that's what we're looking at.
And the 2 lads who are still in COVID protocol, I assume you've been able to connect with them by text or phone call or whatever, just trying to get an idea of how they're feeling in terms of just their mental disposition, physical, the whole ball of wax.
Well, listen, no one's happy. They're missing time. They're isolated. I don't think there's any threats there health-wise. They're young guys, they're healthy. So they just have to, I guess, sort of do their time and make the best of it while they're off and be ready to go when they get back.
Thank you.
Yep.
Last question tonight. We'll go to the man who never has off nights, Dan Roach.
Wow. I was just going to say PR has off nights, but I'll take it back. Thanks, Travis. Bruce, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. Do you feel with everything that's gone, especially in the last week, but you said good energy, you got to practice tonight, game tomorrow, fans in the stands tomorrow, that maybe you're kind of going on an uptick here going forward?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm an optimist. We're back at work. We weren't sure on Monday, Tuesday how this was going to play out. Here we are. We lost. We knew Sean was out. We lost another player. Again, we didn't know if we'd lose, how many we'd lose. So, and staff and everyone that was on the trip included. It was a little bit of an unknown there for a few days. So, good part is we're back to work. Everyone's feeling good. I think as a team, even address this at the group. We're at the halfway point. We are, I think, a solid hockey team. We're like a lot of teams. We do some things very well and other things we have to keep building into our game. So where we are in our position, I don't want to overthink it. Scheduling, sometimes injuries, COVID now has a lot, sometimes plays a factor into, some of where you end up. So for us, we've played a lot of road games. The comforts of home hopefully are good to us. Get some fans in the building, as you said, that'll give you energy. I think players are kind of pining for that now. It's been a long time without fans, and to create your own energy, I think that's helped the games. The buildings I've been in recently where there's fans, it just seems like it's a little, even though there's not that many, it's just a different atmosphere. It's getting back to the old normal, so to speak. So I think we've had our share of injuries. The odds are they won't continue in the back end. We'll get healthy there. Knock on wood, the other positions stay healthy, and we get a bit of better feel for what our team really looks like. Is it the team at the start of the year that was playing pretty well, accumulating points, or was a team recently that's a little more inconsistent, but coming out of it, I thought at the end there, starting to find our game better. So that's what we'll see, and hopefully it starts tomorrow with a good solid effort.